Welcome to the very first edition of the Generals Report, a twice-monthly coaches show, recapping what's happening around LSUA Athletics, featuring LSUA coaches and student-athletes. I'm your host, Caleb Dunlop, alongside today's guest, head women's soccer coach Mark Hammond and head men's soccer coach Mackenzie Young. It's a new academic year, which means fall sports are gearing up. The men's soccer program opens their season on Thursday, August 21st at 11 a.m. at home against William Carey. And the women are on the road for their opener as they travel to William Carey on the 21st as well for a 6 p.m. kickoff. Mark, Mackenzie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're now into week 2 of training. You both have a scrimmage under your belts, and you've had a chance to get an inter-squad or two done. What are we seeing out there? Mark, we'll start with you.
Yeah, no, definitely excited by the group that's come in. We got a lot of new faces. 18 new signings, which can be scary, but it's exciting as well. I think that we have a lot of potential. A lot of young players that it's exciting to see the energy, the excitement that they have around the first preseason camp. Obviously, preseason is great, but it can be tough, right? Long days, double sessions, and things like that. But having a lot of freshmen around, keeping the buzz, keeping the energy around it is awesome. And then I have to give a shout out to the returning group. They've done a tremendous job of leading those younger players, and those new players have came in. We have our own standards here, and we do things a little bit differently, and it's great seeing that returning group helping players adjust to life at LSUA. Excited by it, a couple of inter-squad scrimmages, and we played LSUA yesterday, so we definitely saw some good. We saw some areas that we need to improve on, but the big thing was that the scrimmages have served exactly what we need. We got minutes in the legs. Everybody got through it safely, which is vitally important, and we keep moving forward.
Mac?
Very, very similar to Mark here. 19 new boys have come in. Out of that 19 boys, I think 11 of them freshmen, a few transfers in there as well. So really happy with the group that's come in. A lot of experience with guys that are technically freshmen, but some are 21 years old, some are older, so they're bringing a little bit more maturity to the squad. Even more so, like what Coach Mark said there as well, is big shout out to my returning group, my senior group. I've got 13 senior players that will be graduating this year, and they've kept the culture of what we've looked to set over the last 3 years as coaching staff, and they've set the standard for the new boys, and they've kind of made it easy for them to transition into life in the United States. So excited for what's to come this year. Obviously we've got a big squad, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at times in terms of training and stuff like that, but the energy levels, the intensity, the commitment that we've had in the last week and a half has been tremendous, and I can't thank the boys and got to commend their efforts even more so from what they've done in the last 2 weeks. But looking into next couple of weeks now, we've got a big game coming up next week. We had a squad scrimmage last night against LSUA. We've seen a lot of good things as well. Also got a lot of things to work on, but I would hate for them to be the finished product after week 1. So hopefully we can take the positives and carry them into training next week and be better than what we were yesterday, and continue to be better every day, and hopefully by next Thursday, first home game, first official game, we can go out and put on a good performance against a very good side.
2 weeks almost into training. You mentioned you both have a lot of international players. Coming to the United States is tough, but we'll get to that in a second. But 2 weeks into training for some of these international players, a very unique climate in Louisiana. I've been all over the country, born and raised in New England, lived in the South, went out in the Pacific Northwest for almost a decade, and there is still nothing like the Louisiana humidity, especially in this early part of the season. How are the players adjusting to that, especially the internationals who maybe don't have experience with having to chew the air?
I'll kind of jump on that. It's tough, I put my feet in their shoes about 11 years ago, and I turned up, and first day of training thinking I was fit, and then you come out and you're in humidity, you're in 100-degree heat, and it's unforgiving out there. So it's definitely a big period to adapt to. And that's something that as coaches you have to understand as well, that while these players may not look fit when they come in, a lot of it's adaptation. You know what I mean? Also, you're looking at time changes and things like that as well. My wife always says when she's been back to Ireland with us and things like that. But she always says it's in Louisiana you can taste the heat, and I think that's probably the best description you can use. But no, the girls have been doing well. It's tough, you know. I mean, I would say you never really get used to it. You just learn how to deal with it, I suppose. And the big thing is we're trying to make sure that they're eating, that they're drinking, they're getting enough fluids in, they're recovering after sessions, getting into the ice bath as well, because the fatigue on the muscles is tough. But no, I think for us, the girls are adapting well. I would say this is probably the fittest group that have came in during preseason. When we've doing all our testing, it's definitely higher than it has been the last few years, and I think it's great. We have a lot of local Louisiana girls are kind of leading the way, and I think when you have that, a few people like being able to get through it, it kind of motivates you to be like, no, this is achievable. I mean, it might take a week or so to get used to it, but just for yesterday was the perfect experience for our girls. We go and we start the game, and it's extremely hot. We play the first 49 minutes in tremendous heat, and then all of a sudden the skies open up, it pelts down rain. We get on lightning delay for an hour. We come back out, we're soaking, we're dry then after 10 minutes in the heat, and then it rains again. And I think that was, for a scrimmage, you can't replicate that in training, and it was perfect for the girls to experience that, because, we've had games, rained out, lightning out. We went to North America last year and in Houston, and, we're playing in the rain, the guys are waiting for us, we're on delay, and all those things are so new to internationals, because we don't have to deal with that. Typically when the game is scheduled, it's going to be played. It's very rare that a game will get called off back at home unless it's snow or something. So just for the players that face that adversity this early in the season, it's good. And it means that when it pops up in at the end of August and mid-September, when the games truly matter, then they have a little bit of experience and they can deal with it a little bit better.
Again, Mark's tremendous answers leave me stuck for words here, but I think the boys have done great, especially me having, I think it's a total of 25 or 26 boys from the UK in the team. Don't know if I'm doing them a disservice by bringing them out here, but they've done a lot better than I did 10 years ago, I can tell you that for a fact. I think the biggest thing that we preach to the boys before they come in, especially that 2-3 month period that they're off for the summer, is you need to be fit, but when you arrive to Louisiana, like Mark said, all that fitness kind of gets overshadowed because of how hot it is, you know what I mean? But again, I can't commend the guys enough and say that they've all done the summer workout plans that we sent out. It's evident to see, and say it's our fittest group that we've had as well. Some of the testing we done last week, the times were unbelievable, and again, that's down to them, and you can see that there's a different focus level moving into this year with this group, and I think that's kind of going to carry us through these tough moments of pre-season, where it is double sessions, like you said, and it's still 90 degrees in the morning time before you even kick a ball in the afternoon. So same again with us with the scrimmage. The boys got to experience some of that last night too. So a lot of Scottish guys couldn't quite understand that we were stopping because of a lightning strike, and it was foreign news to them. So it was good for them to kind of get adjusted a little bit more last night and see how things are here and how quickly things can change in terms of weather. But overall, really excited about the group. Also, we've been international players ourselves, and we know that process and how that works and how challenging it can be at times. So I think it's good for both Mark and myself to be spearheading programs here, especially when we are bringing in international players on a yearly basis to understand what they're going through. Like you said, we've done it, so we get that it's hot. We understand that they need more breaks at times. We understand how important hydration and putting the right things back in your body that you lose during that 2-hour practice period. So more so with the boys that we have coming in, they've been taken under their wing with these returning players, and when it came to the running, whenever they were moaning, your Reece Pullers, your Paul Adlers, the captains and vice captains of the team were pushing them through, and that was like very pleasing to see over the course of the last week. And even guys that don't have an armband on their arm, Damo is injured right now, but he's been a great leader for the boys so far. All the senior guys have kind of set the standard of who we are and what we do here. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm just looking forward to things to progress more and guys to get to know each other a little bit better.
And you were even telling me for your fitness test, you sent out times, I think, over the summer, kind of like, hey, this is where we expect you to be. And there were a few guys who, I think you'd said that when they saw the times, they're like, oh, come on, coach.
Yeah.
And you get here and they get that understanding of why.
Yeah.
I mean, even as we sit here now, we can hear the thunder roll that just kind of appeared while you guys were out there at training.
Right. Yeah. We started training and it was raining and it was nice and cool, and all the girls, internationals, are like, oh, thank God. And I'm like, just wait 5 minutes after the rain stops. It's gonna be like hot as hell out here, and it cooked for about 20 minutes of the session. You could see it was sizzling out there. So, but it's part of it. That's one thing that we have no control of, and you're telling players, control what you can control. The things that you can't control, you just got to deal with. And that's part of it. The weather here is insane.
I think it might be the only place I've lived where a thunderstorm can roll in as the lights go off again. This could be fun.
Yeah.
As the thunder rolls in, passes, and it somehow gets hotter.
Yeah.
After that, I mean, it's tough to play, especially a full 90 minutes.
Oh yeah.
For some of those backs. We've mentioned the international players. We've mentioned that you guys both internationals. So let's go back 10 years, 11 years to when you guys were here as players. How challenging is that, making that move from home and saying, yeah, I'm going to cross the Atlantic Ocean to go to a place in Louisiana that I've probably never seen?
Yeah, no, like me and Mackenzie, Mackenzie came a year after me, but we were about 17-year-olds moving over to halfway across the world or whatnot, and I think, like, no disrespect to what it was like back then, but I don't think there was as much resources for internationals, students, and not just at LSUA, but around the country as there is now, and that's so pleasing to see. I think when I talk to my mum, and we talk about like myself and Mackenzie, Coach Keelan, Coach Bailey, Tyler, Caleb, all these people who are supporting our internationals, in the athletic department, in the administration on the school. And my mom would always says like, oh, that didn't happen to you, and while it was tough, but I'm just glad that the players do get more support here now, because it is a massive change. You're coming from, some people have never been out of the country before, and they're moving, across the world. And the United States is the most unique place in the world. I generally believe that's the only place in the world where you can be exactly what you want to be. And the opportunities are limitless out here, and there is an adaptation period. When you come over here, things are different. People's point of views are a lot different. But I will say that being in the South, and I've moved up to the Midwest for a little while and things like that, but that Southern hospitality is no joke. It's not a thing that people just say. It's part of the culture here. Southern families, they want to cook for you. They want to know your story. They want to be around you, and I think that was a huge help for me to settle in. Also, like, when I got here, I was like the only Irish guy, and that's tough, being the only person from your home country. But I think now, myself and Coach Mackenzie, how we're recruiting, I don't think, we always are trying to bring in, people from similar areas. If you're the only, Irish female player on the team, you got some Irish guys on the men's team, and that's a huge help as well. I think the programs bounce off each other because, as an international, they're all in the same boat regardless of where they come from. You're going to have times where, you're feeling low, you miss home, or, you miss your family. And, I'm 28 years old and I still miss my mom,
I'm just 14 hours away from my family, and it's the same.
Yeah, and Alexandria's changed as well. It's just there's the shop in town that sells little snacks from back at home and things like that, and we went in there, and the guy who runs it is so welcoming, and so he told all the players, and they all went in, and just little things like that get you through it. In the fall it's not so bad because you're you're playing every week and you're traveling to different places and things like that, so you can kind of get through it more. Once the season ends, you start counting down those days till Christmas to maybe have a beer and go meet your friends that you haven't seen for 4 or 5 months. But it's all part of the process. And I tell every international, come out and try it. It might be for you, and we've had players that have came out and did it for a year, did it for 2 years, and maybe have gone home. But the experience you get here is incredible. Myself and Mackenzie have probably played with over 200 players from our time here at LSUA, probably spanning about 20 odd countries, right? And I think that we could go and visit anywhere in the world almost and have someone that we could potentially meet up with, and I think that's what college athletics is all about.
Yeah, again, echoing off Mark here, recurring theme. I think biggest adjustment, especially moving to Louisiana for a lot of us, is the food. You know what I mean? It's spicy.
A little different.
It's spicy. Everything you eat spicy, even things that aren't spicy are blowing the head off you. You know what I mean? And I think obviously that's one of them. I think Louisiana itself is obviously it's a state, but it's almost like a different country at times down here. They do things differently. Like Mark's talking about the hospitality, the way they party when it comes to Mardi Gras and events and all these things as well. They're fantastic at it, and obviously it's all well and good with that. But I think for players that are coming over, I think the biggest part I've seen, especially, and I've been here 10 years now, is the growth in how the school itself looks after international players. You've got Nina Cox that does a fantastic job. Just for example, like some little things when you get new players coming in, they've got welcome packs ready for them, and they've got bedding, and they've got toiletries, and all the things when I came over I didn't have and didn't think about it. I was more concerned about getting my Nike trainers in there and getting the nice t-shirts in to impress people, and forgetting about the essentials, you know what I mean? So like having those things takes such a big weight off of players' shoulders, and again for me it makes them feel welcome from the jump. And I think that's the biggest part of Coach Mark and myself. Like when we came in, it was kind of deal with it and figure it out on your own kind of thing, because we didn't have these resources at the school, and obviously the coaches we had were brilliant, and they done their best to make sure that we were looked after, but we didn't have the international student organisation booming the way it is right now, and we didn't have all these extra people on campus feeding them during the pre-season period. And I think that just goes back to how caring people are here in Louisiana. So it is a tough adjustment. The heat is another one that's just insane, and again we've been here 10 years, 11 years, and I'm still nowhere close to used to it. I feel like every year it gets worse for me. And you would think you would maybe get a bit used to it, but you don't. But I think it's the best move I've obviously made as a person. I wouldn't be sitting in the position I am right now back home. We don't have college athletics the way it is here, and our system of schooling is you go to school and you get a degree and you move on, whereas there's no sports involved. And I think this is just a unique experience for players. Obviously, another thing, I know she's watching and I know she's listening, but it's given her a place to go on holiday and go on vacation, and she's been out a few times with my dad and they've loved it. And
shout out Carol,
like,
go on,
the legend herself. Yeah. But no, they've been out loads and they love it as well, and they come out here and she just, her idea of a holiday is getting to go on somewhere that's nice and warm. So we've picked the right place, and obviously I'm here.
Definitely warm, yeah.
That's just a bit too much, but in terms of with the helping kids adjust it, is just giving them our experiences that we had. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that getting used to the cafeteria food is a process. It takes you a couple of weeks, and spiciness, like I already mentioned, is another one, and then just dealing with the different cultures that are here in Louisiana itself, and then on campus. You've got students and athletes from different parts of the world, and I think when it comes to what we do here, we're all kind of speaking the same language, like what Mark said, with the staff that we have in the athletic department. The school do their best to help, and I think LSUA is moving in the right direction. And obviously when you see the enrollment rate that comes on your adverts and stuff, that it is a place to come to. But again, we're trying our best to make sure that we bring in the right people, and I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head this year with the group that have come in. I think all of mine are internationals that have come in this year, especially the recruiting side, and not one of them have stepped out of line yet.
We're just 2 weeks in. There's time.
Right, and again, they've got new guys that have been here for 2 weeks, and you'd think they've been here 2 years. And I don't know if that's a testament to the returning players or if that's just the people that we've brought in. But they're fitting like a glove, and again, we're super happy with what we can see.
You touched on an interesting point in regards to college athletics as a whole.
Saying, like, I think when you look at obviously how different the relationships with the sports are, like back home, like we said about uni, is you go there and you study and you might have something in your spare time for a hobby, whereas college athletics here is the closest I'll ever get and ever got to going pro. I mean, you're training every day, you're involved with everything that's going on campus, you're treated like a professional when you go on travel trips and you're staying in hotels, and everything you do you're representing the team. And I think, like I said, I knew I was never good enough to go pro. I hung on to it as long as I could, but I think getting involved with this environment was as close as I would ever get to it. And again, it's an experience that I would recommend, like Mark was saying, to everybody to try it. I've had mates that have come out here and they've lasted 2 weeks and they've gone home because it's not for them, and I've had guys that, like us too, that have come out here and it doesn't look like they're going back home. Do you know what I mean? So the beauty of what I've seen, and it's something when Mark and myself have gone to speaker events and we've spoke at them, and we always tell them that there is a school here in the United States for every single person.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter how good you are at football or how bad you are at football, or if you're more academically driven but you just want to play on the side. You've got D1, D2, D3, you've got NAIA, you've got junior college routes, you've got all sorts of different avenues that you can go down that can fit every single person's needs. And I think that me, when I came out here, I didn't know a whole lot about it. It was actually my mum's decision to push me forward and go through it. I was a bit down after I got released from my clubs and didn't really feel like football was what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? And she knew someone that had an agency, and we went ahead and done it. And it's one of those things that I wouldn't look back on and ever say I regretted it now. You know what I mean? But overall, I think it's an opportunity that has changed me for the better. It's changed me as a person. First of all, you need to grow up when you get here and your mum and dad's not here.
Yep, that's...
And you need to learn how to make your bed and cook for yourself. That was the quickest way to learn it, but I think it's also made me into who I am now. And like I told you before, I wouldn't be able to do the job I do back home, what I'm doing here, and be the person I am. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I just want to give that back to these athletes that we're bringing in, and hopefully kind of steer them in the right direction of what we did. And Mark's been fantastic at his graduating his players and getting his girls into jobs, and he's a resource that they've used very well. So I've learned a lot from him over the last few years, and obviously hopefully it continues on for a few more. Yeah.
It's the plan.
We'll transition to the 2025 season. A week away. Opening kickoff, the non-conference slate, both programs, strong non-conference slates. What are the expectations going in?
Yeah, no, it's always interesting when you look at like expectations. You know, obviously as coaches, we have our own expectations, but you know, I try not to set goals on the team. I want the team to set their own goals. But expectations are high every year. I always tell players I'm greedy. You know, there's 2 championships to be won. Why not win both? You know what I mean? You know, since we've been here at LSUA, we've, you know, reached the Red River Conference Final 3 years in a row. I don't know if anyone's done it 4 years in a row, and you know, even though we have 18 new faces and 13 freshmen, you know, I would say there's no rebuilding year at LSUA. The expectations and the standards are always going to be high. You know, obviously we start with, you know, number 6 in the nation. We play with William Carey, and then we play Mobile 2 days later, and then, you know, 4 days later we play number 5 in the nation of Tennessee Southern, and that's what you want to do. You want to see the best in the country. You want to compete against the best in the country as coaches, as players, as programs, and I think, you know, iron sharpens iron, and I'm excited for it. You know, obviously the conference looks a little bit different this year. You know, it's all about the conference tournament this year, and you know, both programs have a rich history with getting to finals and winning, you know, tournaments and things like that. So that's always going to be the ultimate goal, is to make sure that you're competing for that tournament championship at, you know, come November. But I would say to players, it's a journey. Are we going to be, you know, ready perfectly well rounded to play William Carey next week now. We have a lot to work on, and for me, I've been telling the players that we're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, but as long as we're moving in the right direction, we're peeling back the layers, we're developing, we're pushing each other each day, each week, I've no doubt that we'll be ready when it matters come, end of September, moving into October and November. Like Mackenzie said, you don't want to be, the perfect, end product this early. You want to peak at the right time, and it's all about managing that journey and that expectation. I think like we've had a lot of success the last 3 years, and as a program, and we set a lot of records and individual, team, collective, and stuff like that. And I think obviously we won the championship in 23, and I think there was big expectation in 24, and maybe we didn't live up to that. I think that maybe the expectation and the pressure got to everybody, and me included. And I think we had a lot of players that had won a championship, and sometimes when you're full, sometimes you don't want to go back and eat. And I felt like we were probably just a little bit full in 2024, but now we have all these returning players that have tasted what it's like to lose in a final again. And I think that's the best motivator. People ask me, how do I feel? Do you love winning more? Do you hate losing more? And for me, I'm probably I hate losing more. It's not in my bone. It's never been part of my upbringing was that losing was okay or anything like that. I'm not that saying that winning is how you define success, but definitely losing is not part of the culture here. So I'm excited, and obviously the postseason or the poll came out today, and we're number 2 out of 12 teams in the conference, and for me that's just noise. You know who you have to beat. You have to beat the Xaviers, you have to beat the LSUSs, the LCs, the Texarkanas, and I think that on the women's side, Our Lady of Lake are going to be the dark horse this year. Coach Lee did a fantastic job with a team that he didn't recruit. Now he has a year of recruiting into him, so I think that they're going to be a dark horse as well. So there's 5-6 teams always sniffing about, and you got to win that mini league. As I always say, there's a couple of teams that it's non-negotiable wins that you have to win. But then when you get into that mini league, it's about beating the people around you. We've had a good record against everybody that's going to be competing for championships, and I think everybody's going to be different this year, which is exciting on the women's side. LSUS and Xavier and LC, Texarkana, and ourselves are all new squads, so that's going to be exciting to see what everybody looks like. And as I said, I know the girls are just ready to get going. Obviously we have about 7 games before conference starts, and we'll learn about ourselves and develop into who we need to be for when conference starts.
Obviously, 2 of us are opening up to top 5, top 10 opponents, and William Carey are a team that we play every year. Coach Barry down there does a fantastic job, and it's a game that we want to keep on the schedule on a yearly basis, because when you have new players and you have a new squad, you want to show them that these are national semi-finalists, and these are guys that are there every single year, and that's the standard that we need to be at if we want to be chasing down those goals that we have. In terms of the expectations moving into the full season, we've got some tough away games in terms of in the pre-season, some long ones. We've got a few home games as well, so I think we've got a good mix of home and away against some opponents that are going to challenge us, and every game is going to be hard, and I think that's the way it has to be moving into the conference time, because the thing about the conference, and no matter what anyone says about it, it's tough. And when games matter for 3 points or 1 point or 0, there's a different outlook to every team. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you're doing in the pre-season. It's more of what are you doing in the season and what you're doing at that moment. So, speaking of the polls, we're in the number 3 spot. I think that's valid. I think we've got some really strong teams in there. We've got some teams that have done well on a yearly basis, but I'm not going to say where I think we're going to end up. I think we've got it in the back of our minds where we want to end up, and I think the squad have a great idea and a great understanding of what we're looking for as a program. We've fell short in the last couple of years, and last year we fell short on an overtime goal in a semi-final, and a game that I think we played better than the other team, and a game that I think that we were the better side and probably should have got over the line, but that's the harsh reality of the sport at times. And then we go back into talking about adjusting. We've got golden goal in overtime that we're certainly not used to, so that was tough for some of the new guys to experience that. But I think we're in the right we're in the right direction for the team. I think we've approached the first 2 weeks in the right way. I think when you have 13 senior players, there's a different level of focus. There's a different level of commitment, knowing that you've only got 18 guaranteed games, and if you want to go the full 25, then it's kind of on you. And I think with our captains and our players that have come back, they've told the boys how short this season is. It's the shortest, longest season that you can ever imagine. I mean, it's in the space of 3 months, but you're playing 2 games a week, and you're travelling, and you're managing school, and injuries happen, and all these things are part of it. So I think with us, we're aiming to do better than we did last year. I think we had a strong year last year. I think over the last 3 seasons, we've gotten progressively better. I mean, our record speaks for itself last year, and we achieved some of the goals that we looked for last year, whereas now we want to make another step and go challenge for hardware. And I think that's the most important part of why we play sports. It's not to participate, it's to come home with some trophies, and I think this year is one that we want to do that, like every year. But I think our pre-season schedule is going to set us up for the season, and obviously it's about hitting conference running, and the beauty of it is we've got 2 home games to kick off this year, which is very important. Playing at home to start off your season, and hopefully you can get 2 wins under your belt in the first week and kind of put you in the right direction moving forward, because every point does count. And we've seen that at the end of last year, where teams were tied for points, but they were separated on goals, and obviously depending on where you play, and all these things come into play for it. So it's really important to start off strong, and especially at home. One of our main goals always is that we want to keep our home, and not lose at home. You know what I mean? And we've done, both programs have done a fantastic job of that over the last 3 seasons that I've noticed. And again, that's the culture we have, is we want to make it difficult, we want to make it hard for you to come here and play us. I think it is a difficult place to come. I think the field's gotten drastically better. I think the facilities have gotten drastically better. I think it's now a place that you can come and go, it looks like a proper football or soccer field, I guess you can call it. But we're both excited. We talk on a daily basis, and we both have the similar ideas of where we want to end up come November. And obviously it's just now time to go put those actions into our words into actions, and hit the ground running against 2 very tough teams next week.
Well, as we said, the men and women do kick off their season on August 21st against William Carey. The men play at home at 11, and the women on the road at 6 p.m. For Mark Hammond and Mackenzie Young, I'm Caleb Dunlop. Thanks for tuning in.